So in this video, we're going to talk all about campaign structure and strategy, and taking some of those foundational elements we talked about in the foundation section and starting to see, as the rubber hits the road, how we think about structuring our Amazon pay-per-click into campaigns and really realizing some goals that generate the most value for our Amazon listings and brands on Amazon. So the purpose of this video is really just to outline a scalable roadmap, campaign structure, and strategy that we deploy to scale and optimize pay-per-click. Now, with all of these campaign structures, our end goal is ultimately to isolate keyword targets to single keyword campaigns. Where a lot of people go wrong with Amazon pay-per-click is they throw whack loads of keywords into broad campaigns, phrase campaigns, and even exact campaigns. And the problem is that you're not able to efficiently deliver budgets and bid optimizations over time with this structure. So our end goal is really to isolate those winning keywords into their own single keyword campaigns, very similar to how we set up those relevant keywords during our launch pay-per-click strategy, such that we can really control the budget and manage the performance of each keyword at an individual level. And then the goal of all other campaigns is really just to feed and funnel all of those keywords that are winning into those single keyword campaigns. And really this enables us to focus our budget on relevant performers only over time as we optimize our campaigns. And really we want to use those auto, broad, and phrase campaigns to find new performing keywords for us. And that's going to be the goal of those other campaigns. Think of them like your workhorses that go to identify other keywords that we can ultimately graduate into those isolated single keyword campaigns. And really the Pareto principle holds true. I would call it the Pareto pay-per-click principle, where ultimately 80% of your pay-per-click performance and sales is likely to come from about 20% of the search terms or keywords that you're targeting. So all we really want to do with our pay-per-click strategy, keeping in mind that the main goal is to basically get organic rank or to get profitable sales, is that we just want to find, isolate, and then optimize those 20% of terms that matter, and ultimately uncover new ones over time that we can kind of isolate as well. So let's just sketch this out so you can kind of visualize how this looks. So when we initially launch our first launch pay-per-click campaigns, we basically have a bunch of these single keyword targeted campaigns using our priority one keyword targets that we know are relevant and know are successful in the space. We'll also have the product targeting as well, a campaign with like 10 of those ASINs. And then we might have a couple exact campaigns with some priority 2 words. So this is kind of our starting point when we're first launching a product. And we want to kind of keep it like that again for like the first 3 weeks at least, maybe the first month. After that, we get into a growth phase, and this is where we start to integrate some of these more research-oriented campaigns to uncover keywords that we may not have targeted. So this includes things like auto campaigns, broad campaigns, phrase campaigns, and maybe even some sponsored brand campaigns as well. So this is our second wave. And then all we're really looking to do here is from these campaigns here that are like basically generating, these are your workhorses, uncovering and finding keywords that both don't perform well and those that are actually performing well that aren't in these campaigns up here. And then what we really want to do is take these winning keywords from these campaigns that are doing well and throw them into their own single keyword targeting campaigns. And then any of the words that are up here in these high performers that we know are doing well, we'll actually negate those from these such that these guys here are only uncovering new keywords that we're not already targeting. So it kind of starts out here in these auto broad, it funnels back up into these single keyword targets, and then these are the really ones that we can isolate, harness our budget towards, and optimize our ads. So another way to view this is, again, just to think about all these winners, right? These keywords and or these ASINs through product targeting that you found, maybe even sponsored brand videos, even sponsored display, that we just know are winning for particular search terms. We're going to isolate them by themselves and have each of these campaigns have their own distinct budget. That way we can really throttle performance and maximize our winners to make sure that every dollar that we can actually accrete value from in terms of organic rank or actual profitable performance, we're being able to throttle that here. And then we basically have these campaigns here, these workhorse research campaigns through these various targeting types that are uncovering new keywords that maybe we haven't thought of or uncovered through our standard keyword analysis. As those things start to get sales, as those things start to win and they're starting to hit criteria that look really good, we're going to get them out of these campaigns. We're going to put them in their own high-performing campaigns again where we can manage them. And then we're optimizing these bids either daily or weekly just to make sure that we've got the most profitability. And then once we have these winners in these campaigns, we actually take those words and we're going to negate them in all these campaigns, mainly because we don't need to target them anymore, right? We can isolate all of those keywords over here. This is where we're going to target those winning keywords, so we don't need them to be in the research anymore. Some people keep them in just so you're running kind of various targeting types on the same keyword, so it's totally up to you. But one approach is definitely just to isolate these to only new words that we're looking to find. And then they're also going to find some duds in here too that aren't winners, that just get either a lot of impressions but no sales, or a lot of clicks and no sales. So for various criteria, when those things hit, we can actually knock those out of here too and negate them and just say, hey, Amazon, we don't need to bid on these keywords anymore. We're not converting. And then amongst all this, you also have other campaign types that you can target. You might have kind of exact bucket campaigns that don't make sense to be in single keywords. That's typically going to be the case if you've got a low volume. If you've got, like, say, a bunch with 100 search terms, putting them in their own single keyword campaign, they're going to get like a couple impressions a month, so it doesn't really matter. So we can keep those in kind of a bucketed campaign. We also may want to run a bunch of low bid campaigns, so like fixed low bids, just to find when the bid auction has options for really low bids that we can win, and we're basically going to get those. And those can typically be really high performing campaigns. And then again, if you want to get really sophisticated, we don't spend a ton of time experimenting with a lot of these types, but you could get into sponsor brand, sponsor display, DSP, retargeting, interest targeting, all that more mid to top of funnel activities. You can have those campaigns going on as well. So coming over here to this Heist pay-per-click matrix, we've just shown all the possible ad targeting types that you may want to create with your various campaigns. As more get developed or we uncover some that we might have missed here, we'll update this sheet here. We're going to leave a link to this in the resources section. But basically, you've got the sponsored product auto, the sponsored product manual, which include broad phrase exact, as well as product targeting. We've got the store, sponsor brand store. We've got the sponsor brand landing page stuff, which is relatively new. We don't do a ton with that, but that's definitely available. We've got the sponsor brand store spotlight, which can be used in a lot of different placements. Sponsor brand video, again, is really, really highly profitable. There is some limits in terms of how many you can serve up. They're really a pain in the butt to set up. Every time you set up a video campaign, it needs to be approved by Amazon. So we'll typically include these into bucketed campaigns. We don't usually do a lot of single targeting. However, if you find some winning keywords that are doing really well with single targeting on video, we'll isolate those keywords individually into their own campaigns. So sponsor brand video is one set of campaigns. And then we basically have sponsored display, which is a little bit more mid to top of funnel, uses more visuals. And then obviously DSP, which you need to either have that $35,000 in minimum ad spend, an agency that usually can make that work, or certain software tools like Perpetua unlock access to DSP. In terms of how we name these things, we're going to use the Flex Campaign Builder, similar to how we launched our initial pay-per-click campaigns at launch. And there's a lot of nomenclature embedded into those campaigns that we can bulk upload and really efficiently upload into our Amazon campaigns, which is awesome. But generally speaking, this is the general approach that we have to naming structure. We first start out with like a match type, so whether it's exact, whether it's phrase, product targeting, etc. And we have that as the starting point, so we know what the match type is. Then we get into the ad type, which is sponsor product, sponsor brand video as an example. Then we basically use the SKU, which is really important because if you use the ASIN in your naming nomenclature, the problem with using an ASIN is that with ad campaigns, you need to set them up separately if it's going to be fulfilled by Amazon FBA or fulfilled by merchant. So there might be times in your product's life where you actually need to fulfill by merchant because you're maybe stocked out and waiting for stuff to get checked in. Unfortunately, you've got to have a whole fleet of new campaigns for FBM versus FBA. So for that reason, we actually use the SKU, which the SKU is going to be different for FBA and FBM, and that's how we're going to set up our campaigns. That lets us set up targeting and new campaigns if we go FBM. So we use the SKU next, and then there's typically like a suffix that again can be automated within the Flex Campaign Builder. This is typically going to include things like SKC if it's a single keyword campaign. Or we might have groups of different batches of campaigns, and we may want to have some naming nomenclature to determine those different groups. So that last suffix again can be automated in Flex, but we usually like to have that on the back end to show the sub-targeting or specific category that we're looking to target. So to look at this in examples, here's all these different auto campaigns. You can see the front end is very similar because it's auto and they're all sponsored products. The SKU is the same, assuming we got the same SKU being targeted here. And then G1 is just group one. So if you want to change the group numbers, you can. And then you'll see the suffix at the end just kind of denotes what kind of auto campaign it is. So in this close match, we got CM. In this loose match, we've got LM as an example. Moving on to the manual targeting options, the main difference here is that you've got broad, phrase, and exact, or BPE, because we're using different targeting types. All of them are sponsored products. The SKU here is Golf Push 1, and then Group 1 at the top. And then because this exact campaign is targeting a single keyword and we want to know that campaign type, we can put SKC here to denote that. And then you've got the product targeting for categories, competitors, or your own products here. And there's the naming nomenclature on those. And then for sponsor brand video, again, there's broad phrase exact, single keyword exact that we may want to target. And then we just use SBV for video just so we can denote those. And then similar naming nomenclature here, except we just got the single keyword at the end. I should also note that whenever we're doing those isolated single keyword campaigns, we'll typically put the actual keyword into the actual name of the ad group being targeted. So that's one way we can kind of see, okay, hey, this is a golf push cart single keyword campaign. And then the actual ad group will say that we're targeting, say, golf push cart as the keyword. So we can kind of break that down there. So this is the structure that we use. It helps us keep really organized. It helps us search things really easily in flat files when we're optimizing our bids, and just gives us a structure and a framework to go on. In the next video, I'm just going to walk through the different phases and campaign types that we use at different phases of a product's life. And then we're going to get into a little bit of the management strategy on how do we think about bids, how do we look at reporting and things like that before we get into the fun stuff, which is how we actually optimize our campaigns on a regular basis.